The massive research vessel Star Seeker floated silently in the dark space between stars. Its silver hull gleamed under the distant starlight as it carried the Galactic Council's most respected team of artifact hunters. Inside the ship's main research lab, Dr. Blue stood very still, his four eyes fixed on the strange object floating in the analysis chamber. "Another one," he whispered, his blue skin shifting to a lighter shade with excitement. "Another human artifact." The small metal object spun slowly in the chamber's anti-gravity field. It looked simple, just a round piece of metal with strange marks on it. But the energy readings coming from it were unlike anything they had seen before. Dr. Blue's assistant, Rex, moved closer to look at the readings. "That's impossible," Rex said, his tail twitching with confusion. "The power levels are higher than anything in our database. And you say this came from Earth?" "Yes," Dr. Blue replied, touching the glass of the chamber gently. "Just like the last 3 powerful artifacts we found, all from that same young planet." He turned to face the large screen on the wall, which showed images of other objects they had discovered over the past year. There was the strange fabric square with stripes and stars that could shield entire cities from danger. The small crystal device that could store more memories than all their computers combined. And the simple wooden cup that could heal any illness. All of them came from Earth. "But they're so young," Rex said, shaking his head. "Humans have only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. How can they have created the most powerful artifacts in the galaxy?" Dr. Blue moved to his desk and picked up a small blue cube, his personal data storage device. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared, showing a map of all known civilizations in the galaxy. Earth was just a tiny dot at the edge. "That's what we need to find out," he said. "I've been tracking patterns in our discoveries for the past 10 years. Every time we find something truly amazing, something that breaks the rules of science as we know them, it can be traced back to Earth." The ship's computer suddenly made a soft chiming sound. "Council message incoming," it announced. A large hologram appeared in the center of the lab, showing the 5 members of the Galactic Council. Their different colored skins and shapes represented the oldest and wisest species in the galaxy. Dr. Blue, the lead council member, spoke, her voice deep and calm. "Your latest report has caught our attention. You believe all these powerful artifacts are connected to Earth?" "Yes, Council Leader," Dr. Blue answered, standing straighter. "And I believe we need to investigate further. There must be something special about humans that allows them to create such powerful items." The council members looked at each other, having a silent discussion through their mental link. Finally, the leader turned back to Dr. Blue. "We agree. This could be the most important discovery in galactic history. We are assigning you a special team. Go to Earth. Study the humans. Find out what makes their artifacts so powerful." Dr. Blue felt his skin ripple with excitement. "Thank you, Council. When do we begin?" "Immediately," the leader replied. "But be careful. If humans can create such powerful artifacts, they might be more dangerous than we think." After the Council's hologram disappeared, Dr. Blue looked back at the spinning metal object in the chamber. Its strange markings seemed to glow slightly, almost like it was alive. "Prepare for travel to Earth," he told Rex. "We need to understand how a young species like humans can create such amazing things, and why their simple objects hold more power than the advanced technology of species 10 times their age." As the Star Seeker changed course toward Earth, Dr. Blue had no idea that he was about to uncover a secret that would change the galaxy forever. A secret about the true power of human emotions and memories, and why they made human artifacts the most valuable treasures in the known universe. The morning sun shone brightly over the steps of the National Museum as Tom Miller walked up to start his workday. He adjusted his glasses and smiled at the group of school children gathered around the entrance. As the museum's head curator, he loved seeing young people excited about history. But today was different. Standing at the top of the steps was a group of what everyone thought were foreign diplomats. Tom knew better. Their human disguises were good, but he had spent years studying the subtle signs that gave away alien visitors. "Welcome to the National Museum," Tom said warmly, watching their reactions. "I'm Tom Miller, and I'll be your guide today." Dr. Blue, now wearing the appearance of a tall man in a blue suit, stepped forward. "Thank you for meeting us, Mr. Miller. We are very interested in your historical artifacts." Tom led them inside, past the usual exhibits of dinosaur bones and ancient tools. He noticed how the aliens tried to hide their excitement when they passed the Ordinary Objects, Extraordinary Stories exhibition. "This is fascinating," Rex said, now looking like a young assistant in a gray suit. He was staring at an old coffee mug behind glass. "Why do you protect such a simple container?" Tom smiled. "That mug belonged to a firefighter who saved 12 people during the Great Fire. He gave each survivor a sip of water from it during the rescue. It became a symbol of hope and courage." Dr. Blue's human disguise couldn't hide the flash of surprise in his eyes. "And this baseball?" he asked, pointing to a worn ball in the next case. "Ah," Tom said, touching the glass gently. "This ball was used in a game that helped heal a city after a terrible disaster. When the pitcher threw the first pitch, millions of people felt hope again. They all shared that moment, that emotion." The aliens exchanged quick glances. Tom pretended not to notice. "But these are just simple objects," Rex said carefully. "They have no special powers or advanced technology." Tom turned to face them directly. "Don't they? What makes something valuable in your view, diplomats?" Dr. Blue stepped closer to the baseball display. "We measure value by function, by usefulness. These objects serve no clear purpose anymore." "Maybe that's where you're wrong," Tom replied. "Humans value things differently. This baseball carries the hopes and memories of millions. That old mug holds the story of courage and kindness that inspires people even today." As they walked through the museum, Tom showed them more ordinary objects. A rusty key that had opened the first school in a poor area, a simple wooden chair where peace treaties were signed, a child's teddy bear that had survived a natural disaster and became a symbol of resilience. With each object, the aliens grew more confused and more interested. Tom could see them taking readings with hidden devices when they thought he wasn't looking. Finally, in a quiet corner of the museum, Dr. Blue turned to Tom. "These items, they all carry strong energy signatures, but we don't understand how. They're just simple things." Tom looked at him for a long moment. "Are they? Or are they something more? Every object here holds thousands of human emotions, memories, and stories. When millions of people share those feelings about a single item, wouldn't you say that makes it special?" Dr. Blue's disguise flickered slightly. You know what we are, don't you?" "I do," Tom said calmly. "And I know why you're here, but you're looking for the wrong thing. The power you detect in human artifacts isn't in the objects themselves. It's in what they mean to us." The aliens stood very still, realizing that their mission had just become much more complicated and much more interesting. They had come looking for powerful technology, but instead, they were discovering something far more valuable: the unique human ability to turn ordinary objects into extraordinary treasures through the simple power of shared memory and emotion. The helicopter flew low over the Rocky Mountains, its blades cutting through the cold morning air. Inside, Tom sat across from Dr. Blue and Rex, watching their reactions as the secret facility came into view. Even through their human disguises, he could see their amazement at the massive doors built into the mountainside. "Welcome to the vault," Tom said as they landed. "Very few outsiders have ever seen this place." "What is it?" Dr. Blue asked, his voice barely hiding his excitement. "The most secure storage facility on Earth," Tom replied, leading them toward the entrance. "It holds humanity's most precious artifacts." The alien researchers tried to maintain their calm appearance, but Tom noticed Rex's hand trembling as they walked through the first security checkpoint. Advanced scanners swept over them, and Tom pretended not to notice how the machines beeped quietly at their alien biology. "Don't worry," he said with a small smile. "The scanners are just checking for unauthorized recording devices." They walked down a long corridor lit by soft white lights. The walls were lined with quotes from human history, each one talking about the power of memory and emotion. Dr. Blue stopped to read one. "We are not makers of history. We are made by history." Finally, they'd reached a massive round door made of thick steel. Tom placed his hand on a scanner, and the door slowly opened with a soft hiss. Cool air rushed out as lights automatically came on inside. "Gentlemen," Tom said, "welcome to humanity's greatest treasures." The aliens stepped inside and froze. Instead of the advanced weapons or powerful energy sources they had expected, they saw rows of simple display cases. Each one held what looked like ordinary objects. "I don't understand," Rex said, moving closer to the nearest case. Inside was a small silver pocket watch, slightly dented and no longer working. "These are your greatest treasures." Tom walked over to the case. This watch belonged to a train conductor who sacrificed his life to save hundreds of passengers. He used it to time his last actions perfectly, preventing a terrible accident. Every year, people gather to remember his sacrifice. Their gratitude and admiration have been focused on this watch for decades. Dr. Blue's scanner beeped loudly. The energy readings. "They're off the scale." "Over here," Tom said, moving to another case. Inside was a tattered baseball glove. This glove caught the ball that ended a 100-year curse for a baseball team. Millions of people cried with joy at that moment. All their happiness, all their relief and celebration became part of this glove. They moved through the vault, and Tom showed them more items. A rusty door handle from a school that survived a disaster, a simple coffee cup that had brought rivals together in peace talks, a child's drawing that had inspired a revolutionary medical discovery. Dr. Blue stopped at each item, his scanners working overtime. "I don't understand," he said finally. "These objects, the energy they contain is more powerful than anything we've ever recorded. But they're so simple. That's what makes them special," Tom explained. "These objects aren't powerful because of what they are. They're powerful because of what they mean. Each one holds the memories, emotions, and stories of thousands, sometimes millions of people." Rex touched one of the display cases gently. "Is that why they only work for humans? Because only humans gave them this power?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "You've tried to use human artifacts before, haven't you? And they didn't work." Dr. Blue nodded slowly. "Every artifact we found. They show enormous power when humans hold them, but in our hands, they're just ordinary objects." "Now you're beginning to understand," Tom said, looking around the vault. "The real power isn't in the objects themselves. It's in us, in our ability to pour our hearts, our memories, our very souls into the things that matter to us." As they stood in the vault, surrounded by humanity's most precious treasures, the aliens began to realize that they had discovered something far more valuable than advanced technology. They had found the secret of human power hidden in the simplest of things. Back aboard the Starseeker, Dr. Blue sat in his lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing data from their visit to the vault. His blue skin glowed faintly in the light of the screens as he studied the readings for the 100th time. "It's incredible," he said to Rex, who was analyzing a 3D model of the old pocket watch they had scanned. "These objects actually contain measurable energy. But it's unlike anything we've ever seen before." Rex nodded, his tail twitching with excitement. "Look at these patterns," he said, pointing to a wave of energy flowing through the watch. "It's almost like brainwaves," Dr. Blue finished. "Human brainwaves, to be exact." He pressed a button, and a new hologram appeared, showing the energy patterns from several different artifacts. Each object carries the combined mental patterns of thousands, sometimes millions of humans. Tom Miller's voice came from the doorway, making both aliens jump. "You're getting closer to understanding," he said, walking into the lab. They had invited him aboard to help with their research, and he had surprised them with how much he already knew about their technology. The emotions, the memories, the shared experiences of humans, Tom continued, they're not just abstract concepts. They're real energy, real power. We've known this for centuries, but we keep it secret. Dr. Blue's 4 eyes widened. That's why the artifacts only work for humans. Your species has a unique ability to pour our consciousness into objects, Tom finished. Not just one person, but many. The more people who share a powerful memory or emotion about an object, the more energy it contains. Rex pulled up another display, showing the baseball from the museum. But how? How can memories become physical energy? Tom walked over to a small table where he had placed an ordinary coffee mug. "Let me show you," he said. "This mug belongs to my daughter. When she left for college, she gave it to me to remember her by. Every morning, I drink from it and think of her. Watch your scanners." Dr. Blue adjusted his instruments and gasped. As Tom held the mug and thought about his daughter, a faint energy signature began to appear around it. One person's emotions create a tiny amount of energy, Tom explained. But when thousands or millions of people focus the same kind of emotion on one object, he gestured at their readings from the vault artifacts. The energy multiplies exponentially, Dr. Blue whispered. That's why the ancient artifacts are so powerful. They've had centuries of human emotions poured into them. Tom nodded. Every time someone visits a museum and feels moved by an object's story, every time they share that story with others, every time they remember and feel something about that object, they add to its power. Rex looked up from his screens. But why don't other species have this ability? We have emotions too. You do, Tom agreed. But humans have something special. Our emotions are tied directly to our physical world in a way no other species has managed. We don't just feel things. We make what we feel become real. Dr. Blue sat back in his chair, his skin shifting to a deeper blue as he processed this information. This changes everything we thought we knew about power in the universe. The most advanced technology, the most complex machines, they're nothing compared to the simple power of human memory and emotion. Now you understand why we keep these things protected, Tom said quietly. In the right hands, human artifacts are tools of healing, hope, and help. But in the wrong hands, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Dr. Blue and Rex looked at each other, suddenly realizing why the Galactic Council needed to know about this discovery, and why it might be dangerous if others found out too. The emergency alarms on the Star Seeker blared through the night, waking Dr. Blue from his sleep. His skin turned pale with worry as he rushed to the bridge, where Rex was already working at the communications panel. "What's happening?" Dr. Blue asked, looking at the main screen which showed dozens of ships appearing from hyperspace near Earth's orbit. "They're here for the artifacts," Rex said, his voice shaking. "Our research data was stolen. Someone leaked it to the galaxy's black market collectors." Tom burst onto the bridge, still wearing his Earth clothes. "You need to send a warning to the vault," he said urgently. "They're not the only ones coming." Dr. Blue looked at him sharply. "What do you mean?" "Look at your deep space scanners," Tom said, pointing to a secondary screen. "More ships are coming. Every collector, every treasure hunter, every criminal gang in the galaxy now knows that Earth's simple objects hold incredible power." The screen lit up with more and more dots as ships appeared. Rex's tail curled in fear as he counted them. 30 ships. No, 40. They keep coming. "They think they can just take our artifacts and use them," Tom said, shaking his head. "They don't understand." Dr. Blue moved to the main control panel, his fingers flying over the controls. "I'm contacting the Galactic Council. They need to know about this threat." But before he could send the message, the ship's computer announced, "Incoming transmission from the lead vessel." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Captain Steele, one of the most notorious artifact collectors in the galaxy. His metallic skin gleamed as he smiled at them. "Dr. Blue," Steele said smoothly, Thank you for your excellent research. Thanks to your data, we now know exactly what makes human artifacts so valuable. The bidding war has already started. You fool, Dr. Blue replied, his skin darkening with anger. The artifacts won't work for you. They only respond to human emotions. Steele's smile grew wider. Then we'll take humans too. A few human slaves to activate the artifacts is a small price to pay. Tom stepped forward, and for the first time, Dr. Blue saw real anger on the human's face. You have no idea what you're dealing with, Captain Steele. Those artifacts aren't just tools. They're part of our history, our culture, our very souls. How touching, Steele laughed. But sentiment won't stop us. We're coming for Earth's treasures, and there's nothing you can do about it. The transmission cut off, and Tom turned to Dr. Blue. We need to act fast. Contact the Council. I'll warn Earth's defenders. Earth has defenders. Rex asked, surprised. Tom smiled grimly. We've been protecting these artifacts for thousands of years. Did you think we wouldn't be prepared for something like this? He pulled out what looked like an old brass compass from his pocket. Dr. Blue's scanners immediately detected massive energy readings from it. What is that? Dr. Blue whispered. This compass guided ancient sailors home through the worst storms in history, Tom explained. Thousands of people have poured their hopes of finding their way home into it. And now, he opened the compass, and it began to glow with a soft blue light. Now it's going to help us protect Earth. As more ships appeared around Earth, Dr. Blue realized that the real test wasn't just understanding human artifacts, it was protecting them from those who would abuse their power. And as he watched Tom activate the ancient compass, he began to understand that humans had more surprises in store for anyone who tried to steal their treasures. The Star Seeker's bridge was filled with tension as they watched Captain Steele's fleet spread out around Earth. Dr. Blue stood next to Tom, who held the glowing compass steady in his hands. What are you going to do with that? Dr. Blue asked, his scanner showing increasing energy readings from the ancient navigation tool. Tom smiled. Watch. He closed his eyes, and the compass began to pulse with bright blue light. This compass has guided thousands of lost souls home. Every person who ever found their way because of it added their hope and gratitude to its power. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a massive energy wave spreading out from Earth. Dr. Blue and Rex watched in amazement as more objects began to activate all over the planet. The artifacts, Rex whispered. They're all awakening. In museums across Earth, simple objects began to glow. The old baseball that had brought hope to millions shone like a star. The firefighter's coffee mug radiated warmth that could be felt streets away. The tattered flag that had survived a great battle rippled in a wind that wasn't there. On the main screen, they watched as Captain Steele's ships moved closer to Earth. Their weapons are powering up, Rex reported, his tail twitching nervously. Now, Tom said calmly, you'll see why humans have been the guardians of these artifacts for so long. The compass in his hand spun rapidly, and suddenly all the artifact readings synchronized. A shield of pure golden energy formed around Earth, created by the combined power of millions of emotional memories stored in thousands of artifacts. Steele's voice crackled over the communication system. Impressive light show. Humans. But no defense can stop all of us. The alien ships opened fire, their advanced weapons blazing against Earth's shield. But each blast was absorbed into the golden energy, making it glow brighter. You still don't understand, Tom said to Steele. These artifacts aren't weapons. They're pieces of human history, powered by hope, courage, and love. You can't fight them with hate and greed. As if responding to his words, more artifacts activated. The old pocket watch from the vault began ticking again, each tick sending out waves that disrupted the alien ship's weapons. The baseball glove caught enemy missiles like they were simple baseballs, dissolving them into harmless light. Dr. Blue watched his scanners in amazement. The energy readings, they're still climbing. How is this possible? Because right now, Tom explained, Every human on Earth is watching this battle. Their emotions, their hopes for protection, their love for their home. It's all flowing into the artifacts, making them stronger. Steele's ships launched another attack, but this time something different happened. The museum artifacts didn't just defend, they reached out. The rusty door handle that had survived disaster glowed brightly, and suddenly emergency escape pods activated on all the enemy ships, saving the crews while disabling their weapons. The artifacts, Rex said in wonder, they're protecting everyone, even the attackers. Of course, Tom replied. These objects were created by human kindness, human hope, human love. They protect, they save, they help. That's their true power. On the screen, they watched as Steele's fleet fell into chaos. Ships lost power, weapon systems failed, and emergency systems activated everywhere. The attack wasn't just being stopped, it was being transformed into an act of universal rescue. Dr. Blue's skin shifted to a bright shade of wonder as he finally understood. This is why human artifacts are so precious, he said quietly. Not because they're powerful weapons, but because they turn power into protection, hatred into help, and fear into hope. Tom nodded, still holding the glowing compass. We've never used these artifacts to conquer or control, he said. We use them to protect, to save, to bring light to darkness. That's the real reason they're the most valuable things in the galaxy. As the golden shield continued to shine around Earth, even Captain Steele and his fleet had to admit defeat, not by destruction, but by being shown a power greater than their weapons. The power of human compassion stored in simple, precious things. 1 month after the failed attack on Earth, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council was fuller than it had ever been. Representatives from every spacefaring race had gathered to hear the Council's decision about Earth and its artifacts. Dr. Blue stood at the speaker's platform, his blue skin glowing softly as he addressed the assembly. Next to him, Tom Miller waited calmly, holding the now quiet compass in his hands. Members of the Council, honored representatives, Dr. Blue began. What we witnessed at Earth was not just a demonstration of power. It was a lesson about the true nature of strength. The hall screen showed images from the battle. The golden shield of emotional energy, the artifacts working together to protect both Earth and its attackers, the peaceful resolution that no one had expected. Captain Steele and his fleet were not destroyed, Dr. Blue continued. Instead, they were helped. Their weapons were turned off, their crews were saved, and their ships were guided safely away. This is the true power of human artifacts. They protect, they heal, they help. Tom stepped forward, raising the compass for all to see. Every object humans have ever treasured, he said, carries the weight of our memories, our hopes, our love. We don't create artifacts of destruction. We create treasures of connection. The council leader raised her hand. After reviewing all evidence, the council has reached a decision. Earth is hereby declared a protected heritage site of the galaxy. No unauthorized collection or removal of human artifacts will be permitted. A murmur ran through the crowd. This was the highest level of protection any planet could receive. Furthermore, the leader continued, we are establishing the first human-alien cultural exchange program. Under the guidance of Dr. Blue and Mr. Miller, we will learn from each other, not to weaponize artifacts, but to understand the power of memory and emotion. In the back of the hall, Rex was recording everything when he noticed something remarkable. As Tom held up the compass again, aliens throughout the hall were touching their own precious items, things they had brought from their home worlds. It's already starting, Dr. Blue said softly to Tom. They're beginning to understand. Every civilization has its treasures, its memories, its emotions. Humans just showed them how to recognize that power. The council leader descended from her platform and approached Tom. In her hands, she held a small crystal that glowed faintly. This has been passed down through my family for generations, she said. Until today, I never understood why we kept it. Now I know. It holds our memories, just like your artifacts. Tom smiled and held out the compass. As the two objects came near each other, both began to glow softly. Every species has the capacity to create powerful artifacts, he said. Humans just learned how to do it first. Later that day, as the Star Seeker prepared to return to Earth, Dr. Blue watched a group of alien children visiting the ship. One of them, a young girl with scales like diamonds, was showing the human boy her favorite toy, a simple ball that sparkled when she touched it. "Look," she said excitedly, "it remembers all the games I've played." The human boy grinned and pulled out his own treasured baseball card. "This remembers every game I've watched with my dad," he said. As the two children shared their treasures, both items began to glow faintly. Dr. Blue's scanner picked up the first traces of new energy being created, not just human emotions now, but something more, something shared between species. "That," Tom said, standing beside him, "is why our artifacts are the most valuable things in the galaxy. Not because they're powerful, but because they teach everyone how to find the power in their own treasures." Dr. Blue nodded, understanding at last that the real discovery wasn't just about human artifacts. It was about showing the galaxy that the greatest power comes not from weapons or technology, but from the simple ability to treasure memories, share emotions, and turn ordinary objects into extraordinary reminders of what matters most.